Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our Jupiter transit video. And this video will cover the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Leo in 2015 and 2016. Because on July 20th, Jupiter is going to be entering the sign of Leo from the sign of Cancer. And this video is going to go a little bit deeper than my usual video. This is actually the first time I'm going to be doing something like this, where in the transit, not only I'm going to cover what Jupiter is like in the sign of Leo, but I will discuss what Jupiter does when it goes under or over a certain nakshatra, because nakshatras are the zodiac signs, the constellations working behind the scenes of a zodiac sign. So in sign of Leo, you have three nakshatras working, which is Magha, Purva Falguni, and Uttara Falguni. And these three nakshatras are ruled by Ketu, Venus, and Sun. So when Jupiter goes over it, it does something in its own, in the portion of a certain nakshatra versus the portion of the other nakshatra. But I'm going to go even deeper than that. I'll actually cover the padhas. I'll show you what Jupiter does in each padha when it transits. But these padhas over the transit will be very short period of time. So your effect, if you're looking for that effect, it may not be there unless you have Jupiter in the sign of Leo in a certain nakshatra and a certain padha. You will understand this. So kind of take this as a semi-teaser to my future lessons of planets through nakshatras. Okay. And as always, if you do not know where your Jupiter is placed, what house this Jupiter is going over. So if you have Leo in the second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, if you don't know that and you don't know what planet is going over. So if there's Venus or Mercury sitting in the sign of Leo and Jupiter is going over it, that's going to do something big here. And so for that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, where on the second page at the bottom, you'll see exactly where each planet is placed. So you can see whichever sign is planet is in the sign of Leo, you will see what Jupiter might do as it goes over it. And you will see my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light, including my new options at this link here. So Jupiter in the sign of Leo. Well, one thing you guys got to understand about the sign of Leo is that Jupiter is actually exalted, not just in the sign of Cancer, but also in the sign of Leo. These are one of those little secretive tidbit knowledge that I've come across. So Jupiter is actually exalted in the sign of Leo as well. The reason is this. Jupiter is originally, Cancer is the sign of exaltation. And in the sign of its exaltation, Jupiter becomes the great teacher because he takes students like its children. It becomes a great mother. And who is the best, what were the best lessons of our life that we learned that we still know now is what our mother taught us more than our teachers. The values that mother gave us. So this is why Jupiter becomes exalted in the sign of Cancer, where knowledge is flowing like a river. And especially Cancer represents your heart chakra. You take everything in your heart. But you don't realize this, is that the reason why it's exalted in the sign of Cancer, because from the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter, Cancer is fifth house from Pisces. Becomes knowledge base. This is why Jupiter feels exalted there. From the sign of Sagittarius, Cancer is in the eighth house. Eighth from the sign of Sagittarius. And this is where the sign of Leo comes into play. Because both sign of Leo and Cancer are next to each other. They're both Sattvic signs. Jupiter is a Sattvic planet. The two Sattvic planets rules the sign of Cancer and Leo. Sattvic meaning the higher spiritual pure energy. But guess what? Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. So now Jupiter is ninth from itself, from the sign of Sagittarius. This is why this is the second place of its exaltation. And ninth from its placement is the higher knowledge. Not just the knowledge, but a higher knowledge. So this is, you can say, a little bit more above the exalted Jupiter. Exalted Jupiter in Cancer can make a great teacher, great PhDs, great caregivers. But now in the sign of Leo, it's wanting to attain higher education through a different means. See, With Cancer sign, we're dealing with the astral world knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. With the sign of Leo, we're now dealing with the real knowledge, the aparavidya. Pisces represents Jupiter's exaltation in Cancer with its link represents paravidya, learning the paravidya. What is paravidya? Paravidya is Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Atharvaveda, Rig Veda, learning about Akashic records. What is aparavidya? Aparavidya is physics, science, law, mathematics, economics, astrology, astronomy. Although astrology, according to Kapiel Raaj, is a bridge between apara and paravidya. So because of these two bridge of paravidya and aparavidya, Jupiter still is in its exalted state. Especially now, Jupiter, the lord of the fire sign, is in a fire sign. Ninth from itself. Here Jupiter, Jupiter represents our teacher, gurus. It's our ability to counsel people, advise people. It's our knowledge. It's a significator of children. It's a significator of husband for a woman. It represents wealth, wealth of knowledge, wealth of resources, especially food, shelter, clothing is represented by Jupiter, the three basic necessities of life. Then what is Leo? Leo represents the royal, the regalness, the royal house. It is a house of creative self-expression. This is where, instead of emotionally connecting with the knowledge, you dynamically connect with the knowledge. You express your belief system very strongly with authority and with fire. Whatever your beliefs are, you become more regal towards those beliefs. You attain new beliefs which are more royal, which are sitting on a throne. You know, kind of like watching that, the movie Kung Fu Panda, the Dragon Scroll. You learn the basic knowledge, but only one warrior will attain the Dragon Scroll, which is the royal knowledge. So this is why this is a very, very regal placement to attain knowledge, which is at a regal place. Meaning, if you just learned astrology, you will now learn the regal side of astrology. Kind of like how Sunil is starting to come on my channel, how I have told you about Bhrigu Saral Paddhati, predicting things without planets, without signs, without transit, without aspect or conjunction. Just by looking at a chart, you can start predicting things. These are regal knowledges. So what Jupiter does, Jupiter is expansion. In the sign of Leo, your ego will expand. You're arisen to understand things in a more profound, regal way with understand. You will express yourself more creatively now, romantically now. You will be more dynamic with every aspect of your life. But this is why we have to learn about the nakshatras and the padhas, because it's not going to act the same way with everything. Each couple of degrees will give a different scenario, different meaning. And obviously, this is going to be, this is something that's going to be 60-70% of the knowledge that I will give you. Because see, we still do not know which house Jupiter is placed in. I'm not sure which house Jupiter is placed in, and I will not be covering Jupiter through houses and nakshatras and pada. It'll be a 2-hour video. I can do that. This is something you'll have to know. This is something you learn. So like when anybody looking at a chart, like when I'm looking at a chart, I gotta quickly make decisions. Okay, Jupiter's in the 3rd house, in Leo, in the nakshatra Purva Falguni Pada 3. What is happening? This planet is looking at it, that planet is looking at it, this is what's gonna happen. You gotta quickly come up with that scenario, because the person that you are doing consultation for, they're expecting you to say something regarding that placement. People ask me when they do this career marriage consultation, they're like, can you please tell me what my Jupiter is doing in this nakshatra and this pada? I gotta quickly look at it. I gotta say, okay, it's in this nakshatra and this pada, it's conjunct Ketu, and this is the aspect it's receiving. Okay, so this is what it's gonna do in its Mahadasha. Bam! So this is something you'll have to do. And you can go to my channel, to my Jupiter through houses, and you can connect the houses with the sign, nakshatra and pada placement of this Jupiter. So you can understand this. So now, what happens like in the first 13.25 or 13.45 degrees, 0 to 13 point something, Jupiter is going to be in the nakshatra of Magha. Magha is a nakshatra ruled by Ketu, the south node of the moon. Magha represents the royal throne, the regal throne. This is where people who are destined to be at a royal throne, destined to be at a certain throne of society, will be getting there. Especially when there's certain planets present. Because this is like, these are not the people who are dreaming to be on a throne. These are those privileged ones who are just supposed to be on a throne at a certain point in their life. That's what the Magha nakshatra is. And obviously you have to see the placement of Ketu. So let's say if you go through Jupiter Mahadasha, Jupiter is in your sign of Leo, in the Magha nakshatra. The results that Jupiter will give is where Ketu is placed. This is something you will learn actually from my next book, Mahadashas at the Speed of Light, where you will look at a planet and you will know exactly what results it's giving. You will look at the chart for 10 seconds, look at the Namancha and the other charts, and you will know exactly what kind of results are giving in this period. But this is the transit is something we won't really need to look for. So in Magha nakshatra, see Jupiter's expansion and knowledge. What's going to happen? You are now going to, in the Magha nakshatra, going to attain knowledge that will take you to the higher throne of your society, or higher throne of where you're supposed to be. Yet this is more for people who already have Jupiter and Magha. The transit over is so quick that the process is not really there. Going to a throne is not a one-day thing. It takes years. It can take a decade before you can be at a throne. Kind of like Kapiel Raaj sitting at a throne of the astrological world. It didn't take him in one day. It took him 40, 50 years of practice to get there. But the transit over it will bring you small circumstances where you will understand that, wow, I'm attaining knowledge. My ego is increasing. I feel like I am above everybody else. Kind of like when people watch that video of Bhrigu Saral Paddhati I made through Saptarishi's research, where without planets, without things, you can predict things like that. 12 from Jupiter becomes active at 24. When you learn this, a lot of people are like, wow, I can't believe I know this better than my astrologer that I went to. What does it do? It kind of like puts that fire in the ego. Because Jupiter is a fiery planet now. It's ruling that Sagittarius sign. It's the fire sign of Leo. And Magha is now increasing your ego, that pitta, towards being more proud about the knowledge you have learned. Not arrogant. Proud about the knowledge you have learned. But remember, there's something happening this year to next year that will differentiate this transit. What is that? Saturn is looking at Jupiter. Saturn is in Scorpio. Saturn's looking at Jupiter. And this is something I should have explained before I even went to the nakshatra. What's happening is Saturn is now making you understand, because see, Saturn is looking at Jupiter through the transit. Saturn has to do something to Jupiter, right? What it's doing is that it's putting your knowledge or learning to work. And Saturn is going to bring you across very old, wise, but strict teachers in life. There will be very old, wise people who teaches you the hard way. They'll be the one who will put you on the spot. They'll be like, okay, you learned, I just showed you how to look for marriage timing. Now here's a chart, show me the timing of marriage. When is this person going to get married, or when did this person get married? Tell me that. And you're in the spot shaking. Why? Because it's no longer that soft, cuddly Jupiter who's always about, who's the great Amrit, the great, the holy thing, that big positive balloon. But now this balloon is also getting that work and that hard rays of Saturn. So things are gonna come to you, but you're gonna have to work for them. This is not a, work-free transit. You're going to have to work where it is, wherever, your Jupiter is placed. And what is also happening is something special in a very positive way. Because actually in sign of Scorpio, Saturn is not really that bad. Saturn loves being in the sign of Scorpio. Some of the biggest billionaires like Tata and Rockefeller had Saturn in the 8th house or Saturn in the sign of Scorpio. But Saturn and Jupiter are creating a double transit phenomena. What is that? Through their transit, they both are pointing to one house now. What do I mean by this? Let's say you're an Aquarius ascendant. Jupiter is going to be moving into your 7th house, Leo, right? Saturn is transiting the sign of Scorpio and aspects the 7th house with his 10th aspect. What is it doing? It's pointing to the 7th house. That means certain thing is definitely is going to happen in your horoscope, either related to getting promotions in your work, going to a higher stage in your work, or getting married, meeting somebody in a relationship. Things are going to happen. This is the double transit phenomena that's even Kapiel Raaj talks about. Like somebody will have children because Saturn and Jupiter are pointing to the 5th house with their placements. So if you're an Aries ascendant, 5th house. So if you're trying to conceive a child, this is the time. And one thing you also have to understand with this is that you obviously have to look at the Mahadashas and Antradashas if they promise the result of this double transit. So let's say if you're going through the Mahadasha of the 7th house, Antradasha of, let's say, the 11th house or the 2nd house, it can definitely show things related to marriage, especially if the 7th lord is sitting there. But why can we say yes, the marriage will happen now? Because Jupiter and Saturn for an Aquarius ascendant person are pointing to the 7th house. And now that the Mahadasha and Antradasha's clock has come to the right moment, and Jupiter and Saturn transit are also there locked in, marriage comes in. So when I'm doing these marriage consultations for people, many people I have said, like, look, between September to October of this year, there will be a marriage proposal, or between March and April of next year, because still for a whole year, Jupiter and Saturn will be pointing to the 1st house. So when I'm seeing that Mahadasha and Antradashas are matching, and the Paryantradasha is really showing that Jupiter and Saturn transit pointing to the 7th house with the right degree, okay, something is about to happen. Now, this can also cause a Raj Yoga through transit. So especially, let's say for Aries ascendant, this pointing of Jupiter and Saturn to each other is creating a Raj Yoga. Trikon Lord for Aries ascendant, which is Jupiter, and Kendra Lord Saturn, through their transit are pointing to 5th house, and they're both looking at each other, or at least Saturn is influencing Jupiter, and it's causing a pretty good Raj Yoga or Dhan Yoga, depending upon where it's placed. So in Magha Nakshatra, Jupiter here gives you the knowledge that can help you elevate yourself to the regalness. You become a very proud teacher. If, let's say, just Jupiter is placed in your horoscope like this, you're going to feel very proud in this 1 year. But you're going to feel like, okay, I need to work towards what I'm learning. I need to work towards what I'm gaining. And since Jupiter represents that expansion, you will see this expansion happen where the throne will get bigger. So if it was small far away, it's getting bigger in front of you. Like, wow, I can actually reach my goals now. See, Jupiter's our goals, our hopes and wishes, our desires. They're becoming big enough to where we can reach that kingly energy that we want to attain. But each nakshatra has 4 padhas. So what is Jupiter doing in each padhas? Now again, this is going to be a quick process. Jupiter is going to be moving from one pada to the other, in a matter of months. But this is more so if Jupiter is placed in pada 1 of the Leo sign of the Magha Nakshatra, you will understand what I'm talking about. So in pada 1, so let's say if your Jupiter is in the nakshatra sign of Leo, nakshatra of Magha pada 1. What's going to happen is you're going to be very straightforward about and very aggressive about learning knowledge. You're like, I want it now. How do I attain this knowledge? He's talking about Bhrigunadi. Okay, how do I find the book that teaches me everything about Bhrigunadi so I can, learn everything right away? You're going to become very aggressive, very straightforward about reaching your goals. You will like shove the crowd reaching your goals. And what happens with these people, when they do not attain the knowledge they want to attain, they get very angry. So you'll feel a little frustrated and angry and just agitated about why is this not coming? Why am I not able to learn this? But if you have this actual placement of Jupiter, this will show you are a very, very impulsive, aggressive learner. You just want to learn whatever comes to you, and you just want to make use of it right away. See, Aries is action. Not to mention Saturn is looking at Jupiter right now. You want to put that knowledge into action, kind of like Dell. If you heard the story of Michael Dell, he would learn coding in the morning and do coding for people or help them with their website and development in the evening. Make money like that. He was that perfect example of Jupiter in Magha Nakshatra Pada 1. Okay, I'm learning. Okay, how do I use it? Okay, I'm learning about finance. Okay, let me invest money in stock market. That's what happened. Pada 2. Jupiter here is going to want to attain knowledge to be at a throne of a financial world. Jupiter wants to attain knowledge for material gains. Jupiter wants to attain knowledge for assets. So it can grow its assets, it can expand its assets, and it can be at a throne where it is underneath is all the financial security. These people become very financially savvy. Then come Pada 3. Pada 3 people are all about wanting to attain that throne and be that guru on the throne by sharing, arranging, and distributing information and knowledge. The more they gather knowledge, the more they share it with other people. The more they gather knowledge, the more they talk about it, the more they teach. The more they do that, it will help their Jupiter elevate to that throne. Because remember, Jupiter in Magha Nakshatra simply wants to be at a throne of whatever it has learned. And it wants to be that guru. So in Gemini, Jupiter is always busy wanting to attain information and loves to share information. These are the people that are not Aries. They're not aggressive and they don't care about it. No, they're very much about, you want to learn information? Come to me, I'll show you. See, this is what's happening. Now, what do you think of this? So they want to share information with you and capture your information. Then comes the Pada 4 of Magha Nakshatra. This is where Jupiter becomes emotionally attached to the knowledge it's attaining. It wants to emotionally grasp that knowledge because it wants to understand it to its deepest core. Because in the 4th Pada, here Jupiter wants to really become a true knowledgeable person and be at a throne where it can be this great mother who provides knowledge to the world, and the world is their children. Pada 4 Jupiter people will have mass amount of students. They will have many students as in their profession. So if somebody's teaching with this profession, they will see they're not only teaching one class, they will be teaching 4 classes, different classes in a week. So if you put them all together, it's many students. But mainly here in Pada 4 shows that a person really wants to attain knowledge for their emotional well-being. For them to feel settled about and feel happy about being on a throne, they have to learn that knowledge. But what happens is these people are more patient about learning knowledge. They're more calm about learning knowledge. They're okay if their knowledge comes in 10 years, 15 years, they will take it. Now Jupiter moves into the Purva Falguni Nakshatra. Purva Falguni Nakshatra is nakshatra ruled by Venus. This is a nakshatra where it's about beauty and making things look beautiful. It's about creativity, art. It's about feeling good about yourself, about what you're doing and your surroundings. This is why it's ruled by Venus. And Jupiter here in the Purva Falguni Nakshatra becomes extremely creative, artistic, and very romantic. This is all about love. This is all about stage performance. This is all about wanting to be in a very beautiful surroundings. Jupiter in Magha Nakshatra will do the same. And yeah, these people could reach that throne. But especially in Purva Falguni Nakshatra, more than even stage performance, they're more about love and beauty and relationships. And what happens is, in Pada 1, so when Jupiter transit over the Pada 1 of Purva Falguni Nakshatra, if you have this in your horoscope, you will truly understand this, is that here Jupiter feels very dynamic. Jupiter feels like, yes, I'm here and I can make things look beautiful. I can arrange things in the most beautiful way. And yes, I am romantic and I can be very dramatic regarding my romance. So what will happen, let's say if some accountant who has no idea what creativity is, they're just all about the numbers. Yet in this Purva Falguni Nakshatra, they are wanting to propose to their future wife. So now what's going to happen? He's going to be thinking about something creative. Okay, maybe I can rent a helicopter it'll cost me $500. Okay, I need to get that champagne. Then I'm going to take her here and I'm not going to tell her what I'll do. What is he doing? He's creating a story. He's creating a creative story. He's being out of nowhere, suddenly being creative. So you will see in Pada 1 Nakshatra people proposing a lot. In Pada 1 and Pada 3 Nakshatra. They become very creative about how they have to do things. But if you're an artist yourself, if you're a creative person, you're going to feel even more creative, more beautiful about your art, what you have created. In Pada 2 of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, you're going to be more about making things look perfect. If it's not perfect, it's going to agitate you. If you're not a perfectionist, Pada 2 people feel very agitated. So you created something beautiful for the past 2 years. Now Jupiter comes into the Pada 2 through transit. You're suddenly going to be like, oh my God, that does not look perfect. You suddenly notice this black spot on your painting. You're like, how did that get there? Oh my God, I made it. Oh no, how do I fix it? So before now somebody's coming to buy your painting, you're fixing that. And you do not want to sell them this painting unless you're satisfied with it. And this is, in Pada 2, Jupiter is all about being this workaholic. I want to create something. Okay, how do I do it? Give me the work. I want to create something and I want to make something beautiful. And if it comes to relationships, you're going to be working like a machine towards making that relationship more beautiful in your life. Then Jupiter will transit over Pada 3 of Ketu Nakshatra. Or I'm sorry, Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, not Ketu. In Pada 3, you're suddenly going to feel this energy of wanting to be in a relationship, wanting to work your relationships, wanting to expand your relationships to different horizons, and making your relationships with everyone beautiful. And every relationship you want is to be more liberal. So if things are not working out with your coworker or your siblings or your partner, your spouse, when Jupiter is in that little phase of that Pada 3 of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, suddenly you're going to feel like, oh, I need to get this thing going. I need to balance this relationship out, because Libra is the most unbalanced sign, because it's all about going up and down, up and down, up and down. So whatever planet is there, they're always feeling this unbalancedness. So here Jupiter, when it's transiting, if the relationship is here, you're going to want to always try to make it here. Then comes the Pada 4 of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. Here you dig deep for your creative juice. Here you go to the darkest places in your mind and you expand your horizons towards finding beauty in the darkness, finding beauty in occult, mysticism, in death, in the most horrific places you want to find beauty. So what happens is, this person will be going to the darkest of places to create something more beautiful, something more legendary, kind of like what? Kind of like Edgar Allan Poe. Quote the Reverend Nevermore. Every poem of his is about death and him just wanting to die. He was so deep into it that his creativity was all about death. So in Pada 4, you find beauty in death. You find beauty and love in occult and mysticism, things that are buried underground. This is the Pada 4 of people who want to become treasure hunters and diggers, and they find that absolute beauty in being in the mines. But in Purva Phalguni, Jupiter is always that expanding energy. And Jupiter's knowledge. You dig deep for knowledge, whether it's art, whether it's history, whether it's, astrology. You're digging deep and finding more and more love there, the more deeper you dig with this Jupiter. Because it's not affecting your mind. It's affecting your hope. You see, this is not moon in Pada 4 of Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. Don't mistake that. This is Jupiter. Your hopes will expand the more you dig deep. So if you did not know how to solve that mathematic problem that is keeping your thesis from you graduating and getting a PhD, a Pada 4 person will find that love and beauty in the deeper they dig to solve that issue and that problem. Their hopes, they will feel hopeful when they dig deep. They're like, you know what? No, I just got to dig deep more and I will find that. You will find buried treasures, Jupiter's money, in Pada 4. Pada 4 people in Purva Phalguni can win lotteries. Then comes Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. So Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is a nakshatra ruled by Sun, which is about contracts, making deals happen, making negotiations happen, making partnerships happen, like marriages. Because what happened in Leo? When you entered Leo, you were suddenly given a throne. You were a king now in Magha Nakshatra. Okay, so you're a king. Then you went to the next phase of Purva Falguni Nakshatra. You made your kingdom beautiful. You made it look like the best palace out there. But now, you got to go to the bottom, work with the contractors, making the riverbank look good, making the bridge, working with the merchants in the marketplace so the economy works. This is more about the economy. So now the king has to go down and make things happen so the economy of the kingdom can function properly. But only the first pada is in the Leo sign. The next 3 padas goes into the sign of Virgo, which I will discuss if Jupiter ever goes in, once it goes into Virgo next year, or if I ever do plans through nakshatras, which I obviously will. But here, Jupiter, what it shows, especially for a woman, in Pada 1 nakshatra, a woman might get a proposal. You will actually, not even just women, people could get proposals for marriage in this time period. Because a proposal is a contract. You shake hands. Okay, we're going to do this. That's what Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is. And especially when Sun, who rules this nakshatra, transits in a good place as well. That's when the negotiation deals should be made. This is how astrologers look at it. Oh, when do you want to make a contract? Okay, well, Jupiter is transiting here, Sun is transiting here. In your birth, Jupiter is here. The astrologer is calculating quickly and he said, okay, well, this is the best time period for doing this. But what is Jupiter doing? Again, Jupiter is making your knowledge go to work so you can make contracts. So now whatever you have learned in the Pada 1 of Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, Jupiter is saying, okay, now use your knowledge to make a deal. Use your knowledge to make that contract happen. Use your knowledge to expand your business empire. And what happens here in Pada 1, Jupiter is highly hopeful, gives you a lot of hope about making that deal happen. Jupiter will also bring you across very knowledgeable people in this time period. You can run into even, gurus and lawyers. And in this particular Pada, Jupiter is going to not only uplift your knowledge base, but actually you will be acting like a guru in Pada 1. In Pada 1, you will actually become the teacher now. And you're going to be teaching, you're going to be counseling and advising and making things happen now. In Pada 1 of Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. The hopes of pretty much having that deal, that marriage, that proposal to come into play is going to be put to work. Why is it going to be put to work? Because remember, Saturn is still looking at Jupiter for the whole year. Jupiter's not by itself anymore. It's Saturn, the big giant next to Jupiter, is also looking at it. He's like, make this happen. If you want this, do not dwell on it, just work towards it. This entire energy of the entire zodiac sign of Leo, the nakshatras and the padas, is always going to be about doing routine, repetitive work to make those things happen. If you want to be at the throne in Pada 1, gotta be very quick, gotta work routine, repetitive way, very aggressive, fiery to understand what you are learning. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Jupiter through sign of Leo transit, through its nakshatras and padas. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Jupiter is transiting, if your proposal will come or not, what's going to happen, what planet it's going over. Because here's the thing. If Jupiter and Saturn, if let's say Venus is in the sign of Leo, okay, and Venus rules the 7th house of marriage, you're an Aries ascendant. Both Jupiter and Saturn are influencing your Venus. What is going to happen now? It's going to trigger something related to Venus and the 7th house. Because Venus is a karka of marriage, relationship, unionship. So now it can bring you into a relationship. It can bring you into a romantic relationship because 5th house is romance. This is why it's very important to know the house things are happening in. and what planet is sitting there. So these double transit and these nakshatra placement, how is it going to work out? All of these things have to be seen. But once you know, you have enough practice, you'll see this is what's happening. That's the thing. You'll just make, your brain just starts making connection as soon as it sees a chart. It's automatic, like breathing. Okay. But if you need the astrological report, all my books, and consultation on marriage and career, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.